We are the Agricultural Systems Institute of the College of Agriculture and Food Science, established to be a center of excellence in agricultural systems for sustainable development. Through the three ASI divisions, Division of Agricultural Extension and Rural Studies, Division of Agricultural Systems Studies, and the Division of Soil Science. Leading integrative research, development, and public service programs to address emerging issues. Offering curricular programs. And achieving excellence with our graduates.
The ASI provides assistance to its major students working on their thesis through the Thesis Support Grant worth 10,000 pesos.
Through our facilities and laboratory services like the Organic Agriculture, Research, Development, and Extension Center or the ORDEC, the Analytical Service Laboratory or the ASL, along with products such as the Soil Test Kit or the STK. We serve with a holistic and systems view in finding appropriate and socially responsible solutions. Together with our local and international partners, future-proofing agricultural systems for sustained livelihood of every Filipino and their communities. We are the Agricultural Systems Institute of the College of Agriculture and Food Science, established to be a center of excellence in agricultural systems for sustainable development. Through the three ASI divisions, Division of Agricultural Extension and Rural Studies, Division of Agricultural Systems Studies, and the Division of Soil Science. Leading integrative research, development, and public service programs to address emerging issues. Offering curricular programs. And achieving excellence with our graduates.
The ASI provides assistance to its major students working on their thesis through the Thesis Support Grant worth 10,000 pesos.
Through our facilities and laboratory services like the Organic Agriculture, Research, Development, and Extension Center or the ORDEC, the Analytical Service Laboratory or the ASL, along with products such as the Soil Test Kit or the STK. We serve with a holistic and systems view in finding appropriate and socially responsible solutions. Together with our local and international partners, future-proofing agricultural systems for sustained livelihood of every Filipino and their communities. We are the Agricultural Systems Institute of the College of Agriculture and Food Science, established to be a center of excellence in agricultural systems for sustainable development. Through the three ASI divisions, Division of Agricultural Extension and Rural Studies, Division of Agricultural Systems Studies, and the Division of Soil Science. Leading integrative research, development, and public service programs to address emerging issues. Offering curricular programs. And achieving excellence with our graduates.
The ASI provides assistance to its major students working on their thesis through the Thesis Support Grant worth 10,000 pesos.
Through our facilities and laboratory services like the Organic Agriculture, Research, Development, and Extension Center or the ORDEC, the Analytical Service Laboratory or the ASL, along with products such as the Soil Test Kit or the STK. We serve with a holistic and systems view in finding appropriate and socially responsible solutions. Together with our local and international partners, future-proofing agricultural systems for sustained livelihood of every Filipino and their communities. We are the Agricultural Systems Institute of the College of Agriculture and Food Science, established to be a center of excellence in agricultural systems for sustainable development. Through the three ASI divisions, Division of Agricultural Extension and Rural Studies, Division of Agricultural Systems Studies, and the Division of Soil Science. Leading integrative research, development, and public service programs to address emerging issues. Offering curricular programs. And achieving excellence with our graduates.
The ASI provides assistance to its major students working on their thesis through the Thesis Support Grant worth 10,000 pesos.
Through our facilities and laboratory services like the Organic Agriculture, Research, Development, and Extension Center or the ORDEC, the Analytical Service Laboratory or the ASL, along with products such as the Soil Test Kit or the STK. We serve with a holistic and systems view in finding appropriate and socially responsible solutions. Together with our local and international partners, future-proofing agricultural systems for sustained livelihood of every Filipino and their communities. We are the Agricultural Systems Institute of the College of Agriculture and Food Science, established to be a center of excellence in agricultural systems for sustainable development. Through the three ASI divisions, Division of Agricultural Extension and Rural Studies, Division of Agricultural Systems Studies, and the Division of Soil Science. Leading integrative research, development, and public service programs to address emerging issues. Offering curricular programs. And achieving excellence with our graduates.
The ASI provides assistance to its major students working on their thesis through the Thesis Support Grant worth 10,000 pesos.
Through our facilities and laboratory services like the Organic Agriculture, Research, Development, and Extension Center or the ORDEC, the Analytical Service Laboratory or the ASL, along with products such as the Soil Test Kit or the STK. We serve with a holistic and systems view in finding appropriate and socially responsible solutions. Together with our local and international partners, future-proofing agricultural systems for sustained livelihood of every Filipino and their communities.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Agricultural Systems Institute of the College of Agriculture and Food Science, UPLV, a very warm welcome to all our guests, faculty members, researchers, students, partners, and participants joining us here at the ASI Lecture Hall, as well as those watching via Facebook Live. As we begin our program, may I kindly request everyone to please set your mobile phones to silent mode, observe proper decorum throughout the seminar, and for our online participants, you may post your questions in the comment section during the seminar proper, and we will consolidate it and be asked during the open forum. Today marks a significant milestone for the Institute as we formally open the ASI 10-4-10 Durungawan Seminar Series, a special seminar series organized in celebration of the 10th anniversary of the Agricultural Systems Institute. The 10-4-10 Durungawan Seminar Series features 10 scholarly lectures for 10 years of service, highlighting critical, emerging, and persistent issues in agricultural systems, sustainability, resilience, and development. Through this seminar series, ASI reaffirms its mandate to promote systems thinking, interdisciplinary dialogue, and evidence-based solutions to complex agricultural challenges. We are honored to begin this series with a timely and highly relevant discussion that reflects both our institutional expertise and our commitment to public service. To formally open our seminar, may I now invite the Deputy Director of the Agricultural Systems Institute, Dr. Nicola T. Timbas, to deliver the opening message.
Okay. Thank you, Sir Leonard. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay. So it is my great pleasure to welcome you all here at the Agricultural Systems Institute. Like what Sir Leonard mentioned a while ago, today we kick off our 10 for 10 Durungawan series, which is one of the many special events that we prepared for the 10th year anniversary of ASI. And syempre, we are honored and grateful to have our director, Dr. Rodmir Datoon, as the buena mano ng 10 for 10 series, no? So he will discuss or he will talk about the small islands, big challenges, agricultural development in small island system. So I hope everyone is excited to hear about his presentation. And of course, sana excited din kayo kasi we have an exciting lineup of activities prepared as we celebrate a decade of dedicated service in advancing agricultural systems. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Dr. Timbas, for setting the tone of today's seminar and for reminding us of the broader purpose of this milestone celebration. At this juncture, we now proceed to the introduction of our resource speaker for this afternoon seminar. Our resource speaker is an associate professor and the current director of the Agricultural Systems Institute at the College of Agriculture and Food Science, University of the Philippines, Los Baños. He previously held research positions at the International Rice Research Institute and the Philippine Institute for Development Studies. He earned his bachelor's degree in sociology from UPLB, a master's degree from the De La Salle University, and a doctor of philosophy in development studies from Nagoya University. At present, he teaches courses in rural sociology, sociology of agriculture, sociology of development, and social research design. He has written numerous peer-reviewed publications and leads several research and development initiatives in small island development, rural digitalization, and mixed methods impact assessment. To date, he has led and contributed to 9 research projects funded by national and international agencies. Furthermore, our research speaker is among the handful of researchers in the Philippines who are pioneering studies on small island agricultural development and innovations in agricultural research and project implementation, methodologies, and design. Let us all give a warm round of applause to our resource speaker, our very own director, Dr. Rodmir F. Datoon.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Asi. It's an honor to be invited for this. It's my honor, greatly. I invited myself to launch this 10 for 10 series as a series of seminar designed to showcase to the public what ASI is doing or has been doing for quite some time now. No? This is the inaugural webinar, and every month we will have one expert from the institute to give another seminar to showcase their researches. Now it's my turn, and I am presenting to you some of my researches. I'm I am focusing, hindi naman focusing, specializing, hindi rin. Kasi walang nag-aaral eh. So I am part of a handful of researchers in the university who are focusing on small island studies in the Philippines. No? So throughout my siguro nakakatatlong projects na ako, 3 or 4, funded of course by our traditional funders. No, we have compiled some evidences and data and information on the challenges that are being faced by small island communities or small island towns, small island barangays, and small island municipalities in their quest for their agriculture development and development in general. Hmm? Huh? Okay. Okay na. Okay, so huh? Okay, so this is the as Dr. Timbas mentioned a while ago, this is the calendar of ASIS activities for 2026. We who are incidentally celebrating our 10-year anniversary, but more on this later. No, I'll just focus on the topic. As I've said earlier, I've been involved in 3 projects dealing with small island agriculture development. One of which is the development of appropriate innovation approaches in the context of small island municipalities in southern Luzon. That was during the pandemic. The second one is the identifying appropriate value chain approaches for small island agriculture, focusing on citrus fruits in Homonhon Island. So anyone know where Homonhon is? Walay. I have a map later. Pero they claim that's it's not Limasawa but Homonhon was the site where Magellan first landed in the Philippines. The last one is the development of appropriate innovation approaches in the context of small island. Ay, naulit, no? But hindi yan, ano siya, the National Forum on Small Island Development, which I will present later on. Okay, so this project or this focus on small islands is part of ASIS Made Trust. The Agriculture Systems Institute has 6 projects. Yan. I'm not going to mention it one by one, but it has 3 trust areas. One is sustainable agricultural intensification. The other one is circular and semi-circular agriculture systems, and the last one is the agriculture for unfavorable environment. So small island is an unfavorable environment for agriculture development, as I will highlight later. So what do we need for agriculture development? Ano ang kailangan natin to foster agriculture development? Ano? Yung mga classic example. We need water and irrigation, di ba? Right? No agricultural system will, syempre soils, nandiyan na rin siya. No agriculture system will even survive without water and irrigation, right? Next is ano yan? Energy. No? So underrated yan sa agriculture development. Energy, sometimes we take it for granted. No? Fossil fuel, electricity, isama na natin dyan yung draft animals at saka manpower. But we need energy for agriculture development. Tsaka yung fertilizer natin, no? The traditional fertilizers are still based on fossil fuels, right? So napaka-underrated input siya for agriculture development, especially in small islands, as you will know later. Second is fertilizer, of course, whether organic or the traditional variant. Ano yung next? Labor or manpower or humans. No? We need that for for agriculture development. Second is machines. I had hand tractor yan. No? Mga ba robot? Pero hand tractor yan. No? Second, next is extension. May extension majors dito? Ayan. Extension. Diba? Or the transfer of knowledge and information, no, from one source to the other. Okay, and yun ay markets and finance. And syempre, pahabol ay digital technology or connectivity. No? Kailangan na rin yan ngayon for agriculture development. And I would say na lahat yan ay syempre doon lang sa title nung the title in the title of my presentation, all of this is challenging for small island development. Let's see why. No? What are the unique characteristics of small islands? Of course, small, no? But it's hindi lang yun. No? There's more to it than being small. Of course, smallness. Small surface area means limited or poor natural endowments or resources. Let's included is labor. No? Boundedness, what does boundedness mean? Bounded. May hangganan. No? Of course, hanggang dun ka lang sa shore. No? Anytime you want to go anywhere, you can't. Because there's limitation into where you can go. If you want to expand your production area, you can't. Right? Because it's bounded. Right? Anytime you want to go to the market, you can, but there are schedules of sa boat, right? You can't just go whenever you want because you're bounded. Second is isolation. No? Physical isolation, economic isolation, emotional isolation. Anyway, lack of internet, lack of communication, they're isolated. No? They're isolated from the market. They're isolated from services. Anong services? One is extension. The other one is government services, health. Sabi nat I mentioned earlier, labor, humans are one of the important inputs for agriculture, and one input for human well-being is health. No? Health services. Government services na rin. No? Education, they're also isolated. And fragmentation. What do we mean by fragmentation? They're fragmented. Inulit ko lang. No? Fragmentation, they're not continuous. No? Would you believe that some island municipalities, imagine an island. Kaya ba? Meron ba ako dyan? Ayan. For example, imagine an island. No? One barangay is on the other side. One settlement is on the other side. One settlement is on the other side. And there's no roads connecting them in the interior. Why? Because the interior of a small island is usually mountainous or limestone formation or rugged terrain. So, one barangay, but virtually there are multiple settlements and they're not integrated with each other. So fragmented sila. So imagine if your daughter or your son or you would like to go to a high school, so what you want to attend high school, it's in the other barangay. We only have one high school per barangay, right? That's the limit of our funding. So imagine if you want to go to you want to go to school, you have to go take a trip around the island. No? So again, fragmentation. And last characteristic is seasonality. So we got this from Jenny. Where do we get this from? Fernandez and Pinho, 2007, 2010, or 2005. Second, the last characteristic of a small island is seasonality. They are very prone to fluctuations in weather systems. Some islands in the Philippines close down during amihan or habagat, depending on the location. So what does that mean? Labor cannot go in, produce cannot go out, cannot go to the market, inputs cannot go in, right? And they cannot sell their produce whenever they want. They cannot travel whenever they want. So there are limits to seasonality. And all of these unique characteristics contribute to this ano ba to? Socio-economic characteristics, no? Limited livelihoods, low human capacity development, poor infrastructure. Bakit poor infrastructure? Why don't the government invest on small islands? Kasi small population, small voting base. They're not going to be a priority. Vulnerable to natural hazards. The whole Philippines is vulnerable to natural hazards. But they are especially prone because they are isolated. And they are small, they are bounded, etc. Poor access to government service and isolated from economic development. So these characteristics we cannot set apart from the unique characteristics of small islands. And these unique characteristics play a role in their agriculture development, as I will show you some cases later on. So this will be our framework for analysis. Why they are experiencing challenges in agriculture development, we will always go back to this framework. Okay, so third question, where are the small islands in the Philippines? Saan ba siya? So how do we define small islands? Is Mindanao a small island? O Luzon, small island? What is the third largest island in the country? Siyempre Luzon, then Mindanao. The third is Palawan, Panay, Itsamar. No, Itsamar by a hairline from Negros. No? So how do we define small islands? There's no definition in the Jenny checked. There's no formal definition. Jenny was my former RA in our project. Jenny checked. There was no formal definition. And then I asked Jenny, please recheck again. And then Jenny rechecked and there's still no, she haven't found any. And in our laws, in our policies, they is still lacking a definition of a small island. So how do we define a small island? So we came up with this definition. How did we came up with this? We conducted a national forum. And in a national forum, there's a national workshop. No? Of course, we debated. We did a workshop. And we came up with this. No? We came up with some category. A micro island, small size island, medium size island, and large size small island. Pangit pa yung yung definition. Kasi small island, large admittedly this needs improvement pa. All right, but we settled for meron ba tong ay sorry. Ron, help. Walang laser. Ito. Yeah, there. All right. So, but we settled for the threshold of 2,000 square kilometers. Anything above or anything more than 2,000 square kilometers is considered not big, but not small island. See, we're still having problems with definition. Not small islands. And when we plot that into a map, or in the map, the first concern was what if that 20,000 square kilometer is a province pala in the Philippines, no? So thankfully it's not. No, when we plot that 2,000 square kilometer threshold in the map, we really got the small islands, with the exception of this is Marinduque, right? Marinduque, Romblon. Romblon is composed of 3 main islands. So, with the exception of Romblon and I think Samal Island. No, those are province. Samal a province? No. But with the exception of Romblon, Marinduque, that's the only province. Or Siquijor also, Siquijor. That's the only province that was categorized as a small island. But all of the islands that we got using the 20,000 square kilometer threshold is either a barangay or a small municipality. So I think so that's why we are proposing and we publish this in the Philippine Agriculture Scientists, the journal of our college. Please, you can Nikki is here, so you can submit to the pass, no, any study, and of course read the studies, no, and we publish this to pass, and we advocate for policymakers to use this definition as a threshold. So where are the small islands in the Philippines? There you go, the colored ones. Okay. So how do we come up with small islands? So we consider this variables, no? Scale, population, geography, political units, prone to disaster access, basically the framework that we discussed earlier. And we this is the publication. You can download this. It's free, right? It's free in from PAS, and this was the forum proceedings from the First National Forum. You can download this for free in our website, which is currently under construction. But you can download it for free. Okay. All right. So these are the conflicting laws. No. So when we check, actually, when I say we, it's Jenny. When we check for policies for the definition, we also found that there are conflicting policies with in regards to small island development and small island agriculture development. Actually, there's no policy to guide small island development, but there are general laws that small island communities can use. Like, for example, the local government code, but the local government code does not specifically guide how to, no? It's a blanket law, no, for LGUs. The Indigenous People Rights Act, again, it's a blanket law for all indigenous peoples. DNR administrative order calls for the conversion of forest land and coastal marine resources. And the Agriculture Fisheries Modernization of Act of 1997, the guiding law for the agriculture development in the Philippines, again, no mention of small islands. So, and what trend do we see here? We have the Fisheries Code, the National Integrated Protective Areas, or the NIPAS Act, electric power, no? Kasi one input for agriculture development is energy. And there is a proposed Small Island Development and Management Act of 2010 by no less than Senator Lito Lapid. But it was not followed up. Walang follow up. So I think it's still there with Senator Lapid. But there was no follow up. So sayang. But what is the trend? What trend do we see here? Number one, blanket yung approach ng yung laws that espouses development. No mention of small islands, no? And there are some conflicting laws. Like, for example, the Modernization Act, it calls for higher production, di ba? Modernization of production, but we have conservation laws. But we also have Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act. So if you're a small island community, malilito ka. You'll be confused, no? Will I conserve my resources, or will I use my or will I modernize, or will I industrialize? But all in all, there is no really guide for small island agriculture development. The main trend also that we saw is that we approach small island development just like how we approach the mainland. Diba? This laws does not consider this framework. No? Modernization law does not consider smallness, boundedness, isolation, diba? Our laws treat everything or every agriculture development as one context, and that is in the mainland. Okay, so I'll give you some cases wherein we found information on how the unique characteristics of small islands is affecting their agriculture development. So I'll use the case of Patnanugan and Humalig, that's in Polillo Island, no? And Homonhon in Southern Samar yata. Yeah. Okay, so this is the project, no? I'll not get into this. So sorry, naisama ko pa yan. Okay, so this is the livelihood of the livelihood and climate calendar of Humalik and Patnanugan. So when we did a survey, these are the available livelihoods. Marine rice production, copra production, vegetable, livestock fishing, and marine culture. And we found out that their livelihood is diverse, but merong schedule. It has a schedule throughout the year. It is calendared throughout the year. Why? The question is why? Huh? Because they are affected by seasonality. No? You can see that during the amihan and the typhoon season, the amihan is the typhoon season in their area. They cannot do root cropping, vegetable, and mat weaving. So they do that during the dry season and the habagat season. For fishing, they cannot do that during the habagat season. Habagat is when? Kailan ang habagat? July? July to before the bear months. No? And animal raising, they cannot do it in habagat season. Why? Mainly because of labor. Because they fish. During the amihan. They cannot, They cannot do animal raising in the habagat because, bakit? They do farming, they do root cropping, so na-divert yung labor nila. So you can see that the livelihood there is affected by seasonality. Ano pa? Okay, food importation. Of course, if you're in an island, you're bounded, you're isolated, you're small, you cannot produce everything, so you rely on importation, right? And you rely on the middlemen or the viajeros, as they call it. The advantage here is that there's a greater availability and higher quality of imported food commodities. So hindi naman sila nahuhuli. They can access what they want, and as long as they have the money to pay for it. But of course, it's more expensive in the small islands. Also, ano yung nakikita nyo dyan na products? LPG, liquid petroleum gas. These are rice, and fertilizers. So also the agricultural inputs are also imported. No? So later on, may tanong ako say we'll ask a question later on. Okay, rice production. In Humalig, it's one island. There's only one season of harvest. This should be Humalig. In Patnanugan, there is 2 seasons of harvest. But both islands have problems in irrigation. This is rain-fed. Yan. They are constrained with the lack of irrigation and other physical resources. That's why in Humalig, they import most of their rice. Imagine having the staple, but you import them. But when we found that they're still planting rice, look at their this is Corcuera, sorry. This is Humalig, no? See, they're producing rice, they're producing copra the whole year. They're producing vegetable half the year, livestock and poultry, they're fishing the whole year. and of course marine culture. No? The peak is green and the lean is the lighter green. But the main product for the two islands is copra, and they sell it in the mainland. So kids, do you know what copra is? Mga ano, the younger generation. Do you know what copra is? No? We use it for what oil? No? So that's the main product of the island. No? They get money from that. No? But when we were there, we asked the question, if you are earning money from copra, why do you still plant rice? Why don't you just use the land for expanding your copra and then use the money to buy rice from the importers? Diba? The answer that we got is that, is it expensive? Of course it is. Everything is expensive in the island. But they'll get, remember, there's no irrigation. No, there's fertilizer is also expensive as an input. Energy is expensive also. For example, diesel and fuel that you need for pumping water, right? So why is, of course, rice production is expensive, but why do they still produce rice? Because, go back to our framework, no? They're affected by the seasons. So even if you have money to buy rice from importers, and if the island closes, you won't have anything to eat. So they still produce rice, even though it's expensive, because when the island closes, they can still have access to rice for emergency. No, for emergency. Okay, so that's the answer that we got. No, why do you still plant rice even if it's expensive for you to do so? Of course, for vegetable production, they plant it in the backyard, then they don't sell it. No, they don't sell it. Poultry production, limited production to difficult access to stocks. So when they import chicks, it dies during the transport. The boat ride here is 6 to 8 hours, depending on the season. So few animals survive the journey. In swine production, so I think this is a bright side in the islands. They are shielded from African swine fever or other viruses because they're in an island. But it's expensive for them to produce swine or pork or pigs. Why? Why? Feeds, fresh water. Now, fresh water is also rare. Difficult to access in the small islands. That's why, asan ba yan? Ayan. That's why I think this is in Patnanugan and Humalig, they consume the pigs, the pork during amihan season. Remember in the calendar, amihan season, they cannot fish. Right? So during the whole year, the main source of protein is fish. And then when the amihan season comes, they have difficulty in fishing. That's the time when they consume the pork. So everything is affected by the seasons. Okay, fishing is the dominant livelihood. Nababasa niyo ba? Is it readable? So locally they sell, but most of the fish they catch, they sell in Malabon. No? So they are connected in the markets. No? So this is from Humalig. Yeah. Can you see the Nabotas Fish Complex, Atimonan, and Jose Banginiban? We got this data from the interviews and from the interviews of viajeros. And then we went to the ports and then we asked them, saan nanggagaling yung fish nyo? And then they say it's Humalig. No? This is for Patnanugan. You can see there are a lot more arrows. No. Why do you think is the difference? The network, the connection. The middleman is more connected to more markets in Patnanugan than in Humalig. So they have a lot more markets. These are the crops, no? Copra, fish, cucumber, etc. Of course, you can expect that the prices of imported food commodities in Humalig and Patlanungan is higher than in the mainland. For rice, it's about 7 pesos. For fruits and vegetables, it's 25 to 30 pesos. Why do you think so? Because fruit and vegetables is highly perishable. That's why it's higher. And for chicken, mas mahal. This is frozen chicken. Of course, perishable. So what are the solutions for for attaining agriculture development? Water harvesting, small scale farming machineries. Why small scale? The size of the machineries is limited by the size of the boats that is going in the island. So you cannot transfer huge machineries. Sustainable farming practices, of course, low-cost native animal technologies. Species of animals and livestock or poultry that can live off small islands. Hindi yung dependent on the commercial feeds. No? Of course, they need value addition through processing. Like, for example, can they process the copra right there and then in the island so that when they sell it, it's a higher price. But the problem is the power, no, the electricity. Scaling down S&T innovations. As I've said earlier, the technology solutions provided by the DA is a bit scaled up or appropriate for mainland conditions like having high electricity requirement, no? Malaki, hindi kasya sa boats, high input requirements, etc. So we need to scale down our S&T innovations. Okay, last case, no? This project, the project looked at the citrus fruits in Humonhon. So why citrus fruits in Humonhon? Ayan. There's Humonhon, no? The small island there. At below Samar. No? So why did we get interested in small island? The small island in Humonhon? Because in Humonhon they produce good calamansi. No, good calamansi. But when we surveyed the market in the region, what are the big cities in the region? Tacloban, Ormoc, Borongan, this is in eastern Visayas, no? We found out that the calamansi in these big cities is not coming from Humonhon. It's coming from Batangas and Mindanao, Agusan del Norte. So why is that so? Bakit ganon na nangyayari? Why in the big cities in the region they are importing calamansi from other regions? Calamansi, you're all familiar with calamansi, no? But I think you will agree with me that calamansi for Filipinos is our silent staple. Diba? Aside from rice, that you can see in every table, in every Filipino household, you also see calamansi. Diba? In every Filipino household table. Right? It's the silent staple. And in restaurants in Eastern Visayas, mang inasal, mga ihaw, there's always calamansi. So why do they get their calamansi from Humonhon, which is a good quality? Why do you think so? Because calamansi from Humonhon cannot reach the market. Why? Because it only has 2 to 3 days shelf life. Why? Again, let's go back to our framework. No? Fragmented, isolated, bounded, small, and seasonality. We took a photo of calamansi. This is blurred. I don't know why. We took a photo of calamansi. I don't know if you can see it in the TV much better, but after 3 days, it's yellowish already. And if it's yellowish, hindi na siya mabebenta sa market. No one will buy it in the market. No? So why do you think so? Why do you think so? Of course, it's because of their handling, right? See, uh, I have more pictures here. Okay, so let's start from planting. Can you see this picture? Is this being shown in Zoom, the picture? Ah. So imagine a calamansi plant that is almost a tree na mataas. Have you seen a calamansi plant? The normal size? It's not like that. No? It's kasing taas lang siya ng tao. It's almost the same height as a human being. But in the island of Homonhon, they let them grow as tall as they want. They don't prune it. Why? They said that it's just the way they produce calamansi. But the proper way is pruning it so that healthier the plant will become healthier. No? But no, this is a problem in extension. No one is teaching them. Like, why is this common knowledge hasn't reached them? Common scientific knowledge? Because they're isolated and they're remote and they're far from the LGU, from the extension offices. No? Another reason is, or the one of the main reason is handling, post-harvest handling. This is a picture of calamansi in the ports. In the ports. See, nabibilad sa araw, under the sun. Also, before they get to the port, is it mine? Before they get to the port, they have to transport the calamansi like this in the boats. So what's the problem with this? What's the problem with this? They put it at the side of the boat. So nababasa siya ng seawater and the boat ride is 4 hours. So it's directly under the sun for 4 hours. And then if it reach the port, it's again another few hours under the sun. So the question is, why do they put it inside the boat? Huh? Because the priority is the passengers. And the boats are small, they can only accommodate small passengers. Why are the boats small? Smallness. The small islands have small population, small markets. Of course, the transport sector cannot service large boats because the market is small. So the priority is the passenger and the produce is secondary, right? Another striking difference is what? The baskets, right? This is the common way of harvesting the calamansi using rattan baskets, right? And transporting them is through wooden crates, right? This is taken from Agusan del Sur. Remember, Agusan del Sur is one of the provinces that service the big cities in the eastern Visayas region. Why don't they use wooden crates? They don't have wood in the island. No? So again, it's because of, again, the unique characteristic of the island. No? Small islands, they don't have wood. They can't buy wood because they have to pay importation costs, right? So they transport the calamansi using this nylon, no? Nylon. And when you use this, see, it's bulky, right? It's bulky. So imagine the weight of the calamansi pressing down on the calamansi at the bottom, it affects their quality and their shelf life. No? Okay, what else? You see the electric fan? See the electric fan there? So it's not for humans. It's not for the workers. The electric fan there is for the calamansi. Before they pack it, before they put it in the wooden crates, they air dry the calamansi so that it prolongs the shelf life during travel. It's like drying the palay, no, or the corn, so that it increases its shelf life. They don't do that in Homonhon. Why? Number one, no electricity. There's only electricity at night. No? And number two, they don't know that practice. And that's common practice in the calamansi industry. Because, again, this is a problem of extension. Umalis na ba yung extension major natin? Umalis na. Again, this is a problem of extension because they're isolated and they're far from the LGU office. Okay, so some technology market innovations, no? Or some recommendations. I'll not go to the yeah. So okay, last project, the National Forum. I've said this already a while ago. These are the knowledge gaps in island studies: the water, food, nutrition, health, clean energy, and sustainable communities. These are what we don't know about small island communities. We, of course, in the agriculture sector, we know this already, right? But for small island development, we don't know what are the specific issues for each area. Because there's not a lot of studies in small island development, especially in agriculture development. So we conducted a national forum who are attended by 11 participants from SUCs, from different stakeholder groups. And we conducted a workshop last September 2024. And we come up with a definition, which I discussed earlier. And we came up with a research priorities for small island development. What are the low-hanging fruits? It includes institutionalizing the definition of small islands. No? We really need to define it first. No? And when we felt that the first step is publishing that article that we published in PAS. Second is funding the establishment of a consortia, a platform for knowledge sharing. So in the SUCs nationwide, of course, there's agriculture research, right? But no one is specifically, or there's no effort in really contextualizing that research for small island settings. Of course, there's research in water, there's research in trading, there's research in fisheries, coastal management, but all of this is not focused on small island agriculture. It's, again, the approach is still the mainland approach. We still treat small islands as part of the mainland. Strain varietal trials, crop animal systems. What needs significant investments? Developing technologies to address the energy, water, food nexus. In small islands, there's not a lot of water. You have to pump it underground, and most of the water that is pumped underground is salty na rin because of saltwater intrusion. The saltwater seeps to the groundwater. Of course, there's not a lot of energy because they are not included in the grid. No? Small islands in the Philippines, they're lucky if they have 6 hours or 12 hours of electricity. Why? Because why? Walang electricity. Of course, they are not off the grid. Ibig sabihin, wala sila sa Meralco grid or the national grid. But let's go back to the smallness. No? Their market or their population cannot support a cooperative that can produce or generate power for them. They can only, well, of course, the population can only support a small cooperative that can buy a small generator that can supply them 6 or 12 hours electricity for each day. No? So without energy, you cannot pump water. Without energy, you cannot process. Processing. You want to do processing, fruits or packaging, no? Processing, for example, you have coffee, you want to process the coffee, or you want to process the copra, you need electricity, right? And the electricity is usually at the day, during the day. Kasi, diba? Kasi it's where you need it at most. So it's really difficult to do processing. So that's why there is we call it the nexus, the energy water food nexus. You cannot produce food without water. You cannot harness water or harvest water without energy. And those are three main problems of the island. No? Resource inventory, still most of the islands they don't know what they have because there's no proper inventory. And there's not a lot of research of small island culture. Do we have sociologists in the room or sociologists in the Zoom? No, I think CJ is going. Wala si CJ. I'm volunteering people. There's not a lot of research of small island culture in the Philippines. Like for example, we want them to increase their production, but is that what they want? Do they really want to commercialize? No? Or what is the ano ba? How is the culture like? Is it different from the mainland? Do they want to be entrepreneurs? We don't know. No? So how do we they accept technologies? We still don't know. So it is still under study. Waste management and the third column is the ones that need significant investments, like developing technologies to address this is the big technologies or more long-term technologies, processing and value adding, climate mitigation, and digitalization. Digitalization because you need to invest in what? Starlink. Medyo mahal siya. No? You need to invest infrastructure in infrastructure. Okay, so that is it. That's it. The challenges for small islands. Those are big challenges for small islands. But again, I'll go back to a more fundamental question. Why do we need to develop the agriculture sector of these small islands? They are small anyway, small population. So why do we need to invest in them? Why do we need to invest in small communities? Remember, no, maybe this is taxpayers' money or whatever. Why do we need to invest in them? They're small. The impact of our investment will not be that big. No, why? Because in the aggregate, they're not just fishing communities. In the aggregate, they can contribute in food security. No? And overall development. So like for example, in Dr. Marasigan is studying also small islands in Sulu. They are producing good coffee. No? So if we harness that, then maybe coffee would be cheaper. Starbucks might be cheaper. I don't know. But maybe the coffee shops may be cheaper. So it can contribute to national development and food security. So and of course there's still Filipinos and they're entitled to develop. Okay. I'd like to use this opportunity to invite you to our upcoming projects. This is our the list of our activities. Every month we will have a major activity in celebration of our 10 years as an institute. Okay, so again, this is Rod Miratoon and thank you very much for attending this lesson. Yan na lang, I'll flash that.
Thank you so much, Sir Rodmir, for the very insightful and thought-provoking presentation on small islands. At this point, we will now move on to the open forum, where participants may raise questions, share their reflections, or clarifications related to the lecture. For our participants here at the lecture hall, kindly raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged. For those joining us online, kindly post your questions in the Facebook Live comment section. To moderate our open forum, may I invite the chair of the ASI Seminar Committee, Ms. Marian R. De Luna. Ms. De Luna, the floor is now yours.
Thank you. Thank you for the very enthusiastic presentation of our speaker. So we are now opening our floor. So may mga questions ba in our in-person participants, face-to-face participants, and via Zoom? So far we have look we were able to see the picture of a small island, and for us na sinasabi na laging nasa mainland, so napakita ni Dr. Datoon kung ano ba yung buhay, the life of those in the small, especially in the small islands, no? And then he showed us how vulnerable, hindi lang through climate effects of the climate change, so yung vulnerability nila on the economic side, on the social side, so unfavorable environment dahil nga sinasabi natin na hindi lang dahil sa limitation, yung government interventions are limited din, And then nakita natin na banggit ni Dr. Rodmir yung culture. So wala pang gaanong study on the culture na pinipreserve, especially nang nandun sa mga small islands. So any questions sa ating Zoom online participants and sa ating mga estudyante, especially yung ating mga AGSIS and extension majors? May additional point ba to? Sa mga magtatanong? So do you have any question? Especially ngayon lang na-orient sa buhay ng nasa isla. Alam ko maraming kabataan pumupunta sa isla just for vacation, di ba? Pumupunta lang tayo to enjoy their beaches, to enjoy the food, pero hindi natin nakita yung social dimension, or especially ano ba yung totoong reality ng buhay sa isla. So do you have, wala pa naman so far question tayo? Okay. Punta tayo dito sa unahan para makita ka ng ating mga online participants. Please mention your name.
Hello po, my name is Brian J. Hinil and I am a UPLB student, PS Agriculture po. And gusto ko lang po malaman, after ma-publish po ng research, nalaman po natin na ganun nga yung situation sa small island. Ano pong nangyari after? May nilapito po ba tayong national agencies to help them, or katulad nga po, pinalo up po ba natin si Senator Lito Lapid doon sa kanyang small island bill? Gusto ko lang po siyang malaman out of curiosity.
I don't know if this is directly related to the article, but nagkakaroon na ng nagkakaroon ng mga projects ang government on small islands. I don't know if it's a coincidence. I forgot to mention earlier na the impetus for studying small islands came from PICARD, really, from the Philippine Council for Agriculture. Ano ngayon? Agriculture, research, natural resource. Aquaculture Natural Resource Research Council, no? It is from Dr. Ernie Brown of CERD, the Socioeconomics Research Division, who came up with the idea on focusing on small islands research. And a team from UPLB executed it. And it was before the pandemic, tapos during the pandemic, and then after that, nagkaroon ng mga follow-up projects. But when the article was published, I don't know if it's a coincidence, but DOST National came up with their Isla project na rin. Isla project. Continuing from their CEST, yung kanilang mga farm, mga isolated communities na project. And then they decided to have a project for island communities especially. And I know for a fact that the DA with meron silang DAAD, no, DAAD. SAAD. Sorry. SAAD, but hindi to small islands, no, special areas, no, special area development. But again, special area, medyo general na naman yun. Kasi pwedeng upland special area yun eh. Tapos, di ba, mountain community special area na naman yun. But, I know for a fact that merong project na kino-conceptualize for small, specifically for small island. An offshoot of this SAAD project. And another research project that is coming is from for if you know AFD, the French fund institute, they're funding, I know kasi kasama ko doon sa project. They are funding a research, no. So slowly the consciousness on focusing into small island development, slowly the consciousness that the Philippines is made up of small islands, no, ngayon lang natin nalaman 'yun. Parang ngayon lang napapansin ng government is gaining traction, in my opinion, no. And the field is being noticed, of course, by our policymakers, and hopefully dumami yung katulad ni Lito Lapid, mapansin na rin siya sa Congress at Senate kasi it's where the funding is really decided, the government resources is really decided. But in the bureaucracy level, DOST, DA, I think it's slowly becoming part of their consciousness after for so long na. Pero syempre ganun pa rin yung approach the mainland approach pa rin, no, for agriculture development. Akala natin continental yung Pilipinas, di ba? Na we are made up of a huge continent na gano'n yun. Kasi hindi natin masisisi. Our graduate, especially of course, gano'n din sa UPLB, no? Ang graduate natin, US, no, Europe, hindi naman sila small island, kahit agriculture yung focus natin. Mga agriculture universities to from the US and the Europe na continental lang approach or mainland yung approach. And wala din naman masyadong universities. There's not a lot of universities focusing on small island agriculture. And I think UPLB is in a prime position to do that. Tropical agriculture and also island agriculture. Tama ba? Right? Do you agree? No. I think we can. No. And that's part of our effort na in UPLB. There's a handful of researchers here that is really advocating for like me, Dr. Lapitan of CIPAF, Dr. Rico Angkog of CESAM, and I'm sorry do sa hindi ko nabanggit, pero there's quite a few who's really advocating.
Okay. So we have additional question from Nursana Nin. What specific research priorities should be emphasized for geographically isolated small island provinces like Tawi-Tawi, particularly in improving water security, food systems, and climate resilience?
What specific technology?
Research
Priority. Okay, number one, I showed earlier is the capability of the SUCs, right, in the region. You can count that as research kasi we need to know yung kanilang mga deficiencies and how to improve their capabilities in doing research in their area. As we went over, we went around the SUCs, even the SUCs in small islands, like for example, Palawan, Romblon, their approach is still not for small islands, or mainland approach pa din. So a paradigm shift is needed. So that's the main priority, enhance the capability. The second, I think, priority is really addressing the water, the energy, water, food nexus. No? Right? We need scaled down technologies to produce energy. Maybe whether it's solar, whether it's wind, kaya lang I don't know if it's expensive or what for small islands. I think the engineering has the College of Engineering has worked on wave technology, wave generating electricity from waves, small motors from small streams. But we need to, again, it's a nexus, no? We need to translate this energy into water harvesting or water harnessing the water. One popular technology right now is desalination. There are modular desalination. But the problem with that is expensive. It's very expensive. The technology is readily available, but as I conversed with someone from the OST, the membrane for the reverse osmosis. Sorry, you can just Google this. The membrane that is used for reverse osmosis is very expensive. And for example, if the technology is being is or if the technology will be maintained by small island communities, they can't afford replacing that membrane. No? For example, maybe a cooperative sets up a desalination plant to supply water. Then the cooperative needs to, again, smallness, no, small market. The cooperative needs to raise the prices of water. So it's going to be more expensive. So we need to find cheaper alternative for desalination. Maybe desalination, but a cheaper version. No, maybe distillation. You know, distillation. It's not just for gin and for Ginebra San Miguel or for brandy or for rum. You can also use that for water, right? But I think Doc Dave Manalo of ASI is experimenting on small modular distillation. Now, seawater, so you can distill seawater and harvest the fresh water. But still a prototype, and I think you need a large scale for drinking and for animal use. I remember, no, if you want to produce livestock in small islands, you need fresh water. They'll die for if you give them salt water. And just a note, I told you earlier that an important input for agriculture production is labor and health. One of the more common diseases in small island is kidney disease because the groundwater is also a bit salty because of small saltwater intrusion. So to answer the question, Nursana, capability for SUCs, LGUs, sama na natin. And first step really is addressing the energy water food nexus. Energy water, if you hurdle those challenges, I think the technologies for food is already available.
Okay, actually, there's a follow-up question on that. Given the characteristics of small islandness, such as isolation, limited infrastructure, and fragmentation, what strategies can be implemented to strengthen agricultural research and innovation in remote island provinces like our island province of Tawi-Tawi?
Same
Same question, yes. Particularly in maximizing its potential as the seaweed capital of the Philippines.
The same answer.
Okay.
Was the
Strategies.
build capability. So it entails research funding and funding from the LU, from the DA, maybe also from CHED, no? Raise capabilities. The SUCs and the LGUs is the key. If they want to be the seaweed capital, I'm not familiar in how to produce seaweed, but I'm assuming you need the sea. Diba? Maybe varietal improvement. Maybe UP Visayas has a project. I'm not familiar, no, but from the top of my head, it's really capability and a change in mindset.
Okay.
I don't think the producing seaweed involves, maybe it does, the energy part also. No, for Tawi-Tawi, I think you, to process seaweed, you also need um energy and fresh water also, right? Packaging and that. So same answer.
Okay. Thank you.
Say.
So from Laura Atienza from SIPAF, how open are the small island farmers to adapt the technology or suggestion
The
from
question
research?
there is, I don't know, because there's not a lot of research in a small island culture. And we need those researches.
So a follow-up is, how can we convince them if hindi sila open sa pag-adapt? So same answer pa rin.
From the case of Patnanugan and Humalig, of course they need to, they want to increase production. Sino ba naman may ayaw? But we need to know what for. Is it for subsistence? Is it for commercial purposes? So I mean, increasing production is basic, 'di ba? Sino ba naman ayaw ng more food and more secured livelihood, right? So maybe that is a start for as an incentive. But it has to be appropriate. We really need to know what for. Para saan?
So from Dexter Abalos, ano pong mga programa ng gobyerno ang tulong na nagawa sa mga small islands, especially in agriculture sector?
Okay, so when we survey the policies, when I say we, it's Jenny, it's really Jenny. We found that the government is not lacking programs, no? May 4Ps, andun ang 4Ps. The DA namimigay ng varieties, ng seeds, namimigay ng livestock. But the problem really is appropriateness and contextualizing. The government programs are there. You can find it there. But the question of suitability and sustainability, magkaano siya, no? Lagi siyang magkakamag. Hindi siya masusustain if it's not suitable and it's not appropriate. The question of suitability and appropriateness and sustainability is really in question. Because, again, the programs is not really designed or for small islands, or the programs is not having the small island unique characteristics in mind.
Okay. So from Ray Navarro from IGACOS. Gaano kalaki in area ang covered for this discussion? Mukhang nasabi mo na kanina.
Area, the threshold is 20,000. 2,000 square kilometer is our threshold to be defined as small island. Anything more, you're not small island.
Hindi na siya small.
You're not small.
Okay. We have
Questions or a rejoinder?
from our former director. We invite you in the microphone.
Si Hilbilyansyo to. Nung makakita ko yung definition natin ng small island na hanggang 2,000 square kilometer, parang nakita ko yung marami pala yung probinsya na nasa small island. Isa na dito yung Basilan, Dinagat, Marinduque, Siquijor, Batanes, Biliran, and yun yung mga Pati pala Catanduanes is about 1,300 something square kilometer. Ganon din ang Basilan is 1,352. Nakikita natin yung policy on small island as if we are looking at the policies ng national government. But I'm looking at the local governance. Kasi the local governance itself should be considered as a policy making. Na yung mga sangguniang panlalawigan itong mga naturang mga bayan, ay dapat may mga pulisiya kung paano nila paunlarin yung kanilang island. I'm looking at dun sa culture ng small island, na yung political culture ay isang bahagi na dapat nating pag-aralan na hindi natin na pupuntuhan. Si Maan kasi is from Infanta, Kasi alam niya ang estilo ng Pugi, no? Yung Pugi, ito yung Polillo Group of Island, no? Yung Patnanungan, Humalig, and so on. Nang ambulansya dito ay hindi ambulansyang gumugulong, kundi ambulansyang tumatawid sa bangka, and so on. And of course, we are part, buti nabanggit mo si Rico Angkog kanina, so yung study namin sa Blue Economy ng Alabat Island ay isa sa magandang sistema. Ang Alabat Island ay mayroong 3 munisipyo. Ito yung Alabat, Perez at Quezon. Ang problema, magkakahiwalay ang pulisiya na ginagampanan ng 3 local government. Wala yung talagang Alabat Island governance system para matulungan yung bawat isa na ma-develop yung Alabat Island. So, one thing good is that nagkaroon ng magandang ugnayan yung dating mayor, si Mayor Mesa at saka yung isang investor para magkaroon ng Roro. Pasensya na. Sa Quezon kasi yung, yung Roro para magkaroon ng magandang transportation system from Alabat to Atimunan. So na-facilitate ngayon yung transport. So what I'm saying is that given this island, parang mas magandang mag-produce sa Alabat at magpadala ng commodity from Alabat papunta sa mainland kaysa yung commodity nanggagaling pa ng Bicol kasi 2 oras lang yung biyahe. Yung mga ganitong aspeto kasi, parang sa akin, pasensya na, mahaba. Ang pinakang natin yung Singapore, although they are not island, pero kung makikita natin yung economy nila parang island eh. Pero one of the basic determinants of why Singapore developed is because of the governance systems that was prevailing on that particular small country na talaga nag-determine ng social, economic, and culture nung buong Singapore. That's why I'm saying that if the rural sociologists will try to study the culture of small island, isang napakahalagang bagay yung governance system. Di ba? Marinduque controlled by the Reyes, Sulu controlled by the Tan, Tawi-Tawi is controlled, pasensya na, open pala to, no? Sorry. So what I'm saying is that even yung Dinagat Island, puro Ecleo yan dati.
Yes.
Pero ibig sabihin, may pagbabago kasi. Pagkatapos ni Ecleo, masok yung NGO and partner natin, si Bagaw, di ba? Kaya nagkaroon ng shift pagdating sa governance system ng island. What I'm saying is that there is a potential or possibilities that there will be some changes. Basta mabago lang talaga yung kultura, yung mindset, yung political governance system ng isang island para yung mga polisiya na to ay mapag-isa-isa natin. But on the part of the UPLB, I would appreciate na Sir Rudmir, sana yung Interdisciplinary Study Center for Small Island mapacilitate po ng ASI. Yun lang po.
Jenny, nakasalalay po yung kay Jenny.
So may appeal to do an IDSC on small island. IDSC is Interdisciplinary Study Center. Okay. So thank you, Doc Hill, for your may sagot ka ba sa sharing ni Doc Hill? So yun siguro yung linkage between the political group, no, na kailangan nating mag-coordinate din, hindi lang porke small island sila. So yung linkage between the small islands are importante din. Gaya ng nabanggit ni Doc Hill with the POGI or the Polillo Group of Islands na nag-uusap-usap, supposed to be ang mga mayors doon. So like the other small islands din. Okay, so we have no more questions sa ating online, and then balik na tayo siguro. Congratulations. Ay, may question pa pala. Sorry. Doc I?
Ako po si Irene, Binibining Pilipinas 20. Joke lang. Rural sociologist po ako, nagtuturo dito sa ASI. Hindi ko narinig yung presentation because I was in a class, but so I don't know if this question has been answered. Being a rural sociologist, I'm very interested in defining what rurality is. So when you think of small islands being very geographically defined, does that mean rurality is geographical or spatial rather than social? Or what? No, or is it both? Because I did not hear the whole discussion. So I'll be very interested in that approach. Thank you.
Ano yung ano natin, geographical or social or spatial ano? We I cannot know for sure no, I don't have the data, no. I don't have the data to, and then as we said earlier, there's not a lot of studies coming out really from this small island. But if my analysis, based from just my analysis, again, I have no data, no. The data should come from the definition of rurality should come from them, no, from there. How do they define reality? But if I will guess, having using the framework, because a small island life is really driven by their unique characteristics. So this is the answer is geographical, really. Their way of life, their daily living is greatly driven by their smallness, boundedness, fragmentation, isolation, and seasonality. And it's really hard to answer social kasi that is really their life really revolves around these five main characteristics.
Okay, so there will be more discussion in the classroom or in the meeting rooms of the
GC later.
of the
Yes.
Okay, so we will stop if we no more. Wala nang habol. Ay, may pahabol pa. Okay. Last one. Entertain natin. Student yata siya eh. So,
Good afternoon po. I'm Gian from College of Human Ecology. I'm curious lang po, like may distinct characteristics ba that enabled Homonhon Island to have that industry sa calamansi as compared with other small islands? Like what are the facilitators po? If nakita niyo sa research niyo.
We did not do a soil analysis. No. Kasi hindi namin sinabi yung mga division of soil from soils. But they say that the soil really is good for the calamansi production. The soil is really rich in nickel kasi may mining sa island eh, no. Homonhon. The soil is really rich. I don't know about gold, but may nickel mining doon. So it's really mineral rich. So may mga rare earths doon. And the farmers say, and the DAU say that that contributes to the high good quality of calamansi. So your question is really for agri. No?
Opo,
Do you want to
Follow up.
gift
Follow up.
to BSA?
Pero follow up po. Other than the biophysical characteristics po, like any other like socio-political, may difference po ba sa local?
So Homonhon, for good like affecting the quality of calamansi. So
Or like
Homonhon,
yung for them to develop that kind of
industry.
industry.
We asked that question. Why do you have calamansi here in the island? And the answer is somebody brought it there. No, somebody just brought it there. Because the main crop before was coconut as small island. But a big typhoon hit them, and then they decided to try trial and error. They decided to try calamansi, and they found out that it was in good quality, and of course they increased the production. That's it. By chance, I think by chance.
Okay, thank you po.
thank you. Ano ba? Humihirit
daw.
pa. Okay.
So,
Tanong ako dun sa human ecology, tinanong ko sa katabi ko, ano bang field sa human ecology yung dapat mag-study dun sa particular aspect na yon? Kasi ang alam ko ang kalamansi, di ba? Nakarating ng Homonhon dahil sa isang Batanggenyo na nag-introduce ng kalamansi dun sa Homonhon at naipakita niya na maganda yung kalamansi dun sa Homonhon. Ganon din sa island of Mindoro, ang nag-introduce ng rambutan dyan at saka nag-introduce ng kalamansi sa Mindoro ay Batanggenyo rin. Ito yung mga Arago. At nag-introduce ng singkom or daranghita sa Tagkawayan sa Quezon ay Batanggenyo din. Nag-introduce ng citrus. Nag-introduce ng kamates sa Kabinte ay Tagaliliw. Kasi wala off-season yung kamatis ay January to May sa Nagkarlan. Pero during the dry season, mas gaganda yung kamatis sa Kabinte. Ganon. So sabi ko, alin kaya yung field sa human ecology na pwedeng magtingin dito yung mga migration pattern, kung paano yung adoption things, para hindi naman kami lang sa agricultural systems yung tumitingin dito. Baka kako may lang aspeto sa human ecology na pwedeng mag-aral nito. Pero kung wala, mag-shift ka na, pumunta ka na lang dito sa agricultural systems cluster. Yan po.
Tin ba ng ating student?
Masasagot mo.
Masasagot mo ba yung tanong ni Dr. Villancio? Hindi na speaker, ikaw na, guest na.
Di ano po, interested po kasi ako sa agri and food systems, pero senior student na po kasi ako. Ang research ko po, food governance. Opo, so medyo kaya rin po ako dumadayo dito paminsan-minsan. Thank you.
Tumayo ka na lagi.
Senior na nga doon, din na makag-ship eh. Senior na nga doon.
Okay. So, may tanong si Doc Rodmer kay Doc Hill.
Paano mo kilala yung mga nag-introduce ng kung saan-saan na ano? Paano mo siya nakilala?
Kasi ako yung 1980 pa nagtatrabaho na dito, ano? So bali, yung trabaho sa Small Island kasi, hindi ngayon lang yan. Way back 1981, merong project ang Department of Environment and Natural Resources to the Rented Resources Program. Nagkaroon talaga ng SMILE. Ang tawag dyan, SMILE. Ito yung Small Island Development Projects actually. Ang main nila is Cebu at saka Bohol at saka Camotes Island sa Visayas. So what I'm saying, ito dati na itong ginagawa, kaya wala siyang label as small island. But because of that, dapat tayo, nakikita ko, dapat i-problematize yung aspeto para ito'y maiangat yung mga tinatrabaho ni Lito Lapid. Mabigyang pansin. I don't want every island to become Singapore, no? Pero dapat yung kanyang food security ay natitingnan para hindi na siya umasa sa mainland. Para pag namatay mga baboy sa mainland, may panggagalingan ng baboy, and that is the small island. Kasi nakita na natin yung yung African something, yung flu, yung avian flu, pati COVID-19, mga ganyang aspeto eh. And what can save the mainland is actually the small island pagdating sa food security. That's why para makarecover yung ating population, ng swine population, talagang dapat manggaling yung breeding stations nasa Alabat, nasa Marinduque, lahat yan ay zero sa African swine fever. Something like that. Yung I don't know kung paano natin sabihin to. So pakisabi kay Inverga, i-sponsor sa Congress kay Mark Inverga. Friend po niya yung staff ni Inverga eh. Tapos si Bam Aquino, sabihin natin na or si Pangilinan, sponsor na yung another version of Small Island. Kung ayon yung Lito Lapid palagi ang magsalita kasi mukhang di pinakikinggan si Lito Lapid eh. But if it's coming from Pangilinan siguro as a part yung food security something, ay baka may marating tayo. And I think ASI can do that. Magkaroon tayo ng legislative academic interactions to address this. Nagawa po natin to minsan dati si Ma'am Acosta, yung congressman na nagsulong ng farmer something na bill na naging batas. Tayo po ang nagsimula noon dito sa atin. Way back 1990 something. Pasensya na po, historical talaga to. Pero actually, nang bola lang ako doon. Yung sa Munhon, hindi po totoo yun. Hindi po totoo yun. Pero Hindi ko lang nasabi, sinabi ko po kay Edna, sabi ko kanina, most likely, Batanggenyo yung nagdala ng sintunis dyan eh. Then nasabi mo na may nagdala talaga. Pero maalam mo, most likely, Batanggenyo talaga yun.
Okay, so maraming salamat sa ating questions. And then thank you for our speaker. We'll go to the next part of the program.
Apo. Thank you so much for everyone who have participated in our very fruitful discussion in our open forum. To proceed with our program, may we request everyone to please go here at the front for our official group photo before we award the certificate to our speaker. Once again, may we invite everyone to please proceed here at the front for our photo op. Dito po sa front.
Paano, sir? Ay, paano, sir? Nakatayo?
At this point, we would like to formally recognize our resource speaker. May I request Dr. Datoon to please come forward for the awarding of Certificate of Appreciation. And may we call on our Deputy Director, Dr. Timbas, and our ASI Seminar Committee Chair for our awarding of certificate. Ate Maan and Dr. Nicola for the awarding po. Natawag po. Thank you so much po for sharing your expertise and valuable insights with us this afternoon. But before we conclude, here are some important announcements. Once again, the ASI will be hosting a series of activities throughout the year as part of its 10th anniversary celebration, including academic seminars, exhibits, roundtable discussions, and other institutional events. Moreover, the schedule of the upcoming ASI 10 for 10 Durungawan seminar for the succeeding months is presented in our screen. So later on, this next leg of our ASI 10 for 10 Durungawan seminar. We encourage everyone to continue participating in the said activities as we collectively reflect on a decade of ASI's initiatives and look forward to the future of agricultural systems for sustainable agriculture. And to formally close this afternoon seminar, may I invite once again the chair of the ASI Seminar Committee, Ms. Marian R. De Luna, to deliver
So Thank you for joining the first episode of our ASI Durungawan 10 for 10 seminar series. We hope that you have gained additional knowledge based by our small island communities. So we hope that your learnings from this seminar will be transformed into actual programs for the development of our rural communities, specifically our in the next
Thank you so much for our upcoming events. This year, we have our calendar. Ayan. So this coming March, we'll have these events in April, May, June, July, August, October, November, and December. And for our Durungawan seminar series, to continue, we also So yeah, we also have our upcoming 4th Organic Agriculture Fair. OA para sa kabataan, kabataan para sa OA. So we are inviting our students, our youth participants here to join our OA dance. I think we have the OA Fair Dance Contest. For the winner, you will be receiving 5,000 pesos. No? For the first place, the second place, I think it's 3K, then 2K. So yeah, you just need to dance, no? For more information, kindly visit the Facebook page of ASI and the Facebook page of the OR Deck. You can find it at the Facebook. Ayan. And next po, we also have our agriculture run, or the first agriculture run as supported by our College of Agriculture. If you want to win the GOAT, kindly join in our agriculture run. And of course, as our final reminder, we kindly ask all the participants to accomplish the online evaluation form by scanning the QR code. Ayan pala siya. So ito po yung ating next episodes ng ASI Durungawan 10 for 10. Isa-isahin ko po ba? Okay na. For the topics, sige po. The topics will be followed, but definitely we will be having a very fruitful seminars in the next months. Po. For our next month, we have assistant professor, no, si Ma'am Biel, as part of our celebration na rin ng Women's Month, yung March. And once again, before you leave, please accomplish the online evaluation form by scanning the QR code through the link presented in our screen. Please note that e-certificates of participation will be issued only to those who have successfully completed the evaluation form. It's the same with our participants in our Facebook Live. On behalf of the Agricultural Systems Institute, thank you very much for joining us in the first installment of the ASI 10 for 10 Durungawan Seminar Series. We hope to see you again in our upcoming events and seminars. Thank you for your continued support and have a pleasant afternoon, everyone. Maraming salamat po.